morning, so we can't see ourselves on screen. So we don't know what's going on. Good morning. Good morning, Washington, D.C., surrounding areas, and all over the world. Anyone who is tuning into the City Monks, hello.
Hello, we are here, and we are coming to you today live, and we're really excited about the topic we have to share with you guys today. And first and foremost, how are you doing this morning, honey?
I'm good. You know, this morning got off to a slow start. You know, we woke up late, about an hour later than normal. But it was good to have that extra lay down, you know. The alarm went off at the right time, and instead of turning it off, I just hit the snooze button for a whole hour. So I really got the last hour of sleep. Wasn't even really sleep. It was just like 12 mini naps.
I'm sure we're all familiar with the snooze.
Yes.
And I just kept sleeping like I didn't know what was going on.
But that's all right. Now, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm just happy to be here today and thankful and ready to get this started.
Yes, we are. I am thankful. Just kind of following up on last week's show with our brother Andrew Williams. First of all, thank you for coming on the show, for sharing your gift, your talent, your passion with an audience who is interested in something a little more substantial than just, you know, the superficiality of what seems to be the bulk of today's world.
Yeah, I was really inspired by your art, man. It was really moving. We got a lot of good feedback about it, and you know, you're definitely on your way to doing some amazing stuff.
Yes, and you know, brother Andrew gave us a beautiful painting that he had done, the Don't Doubt one that we had featured. He actually gave us that, and so, you know, I didn't think about it until just this moment, but we'll kind of pop that up, you know, in future broadcasts. Also, a big thank you to our producer Aaron, who has been supporting us in such a major way and has really made the way for us to be able to do this together and to do this for us and for you. So thank you, Aaron. Hope you're having a great day right now. She's not with us today in the studio. You know, she's been spending the last couple weekends in celebratory mode for Noel's first birthday. That's her daughter.
Yes. Thank you so much, Aaron. We really appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts, everything you've done to, you know, for us and to keep this mission and this movement going. And so we really appreciate you from the bottom of our hearts, from both of us.
Yes. So, you know what? Go ahead. You had any dedications for today before we get started?
Oh, well, now that you said it, my little sister is graduating today. I just want to say congratulations to you, sis.
Congratulations, Naomi.
Congratulations, Naomi. Can we put her picture right up there? There's my sister right there.
There she is.
Congratulations, baby. I love you.
All right, that was our. Thank you. Our clapping, our applause backdrop. So, City Monks, we conceived this idea not too terribly long ago, and the mission of City Monks at its inception was to really begin to merge parts of our lives that we view as separate, i.e., spirituality and day to day. As I've moved through my life in such an unconventional way, you know, in a way that many people haven't, you know, close to me haven't understood, or and in some cases, you know, haven't even liked. I find myself blessed to have had that foundation of spirituality with family and you know, and a strong personal day-to-day life, and I find myself blessed to not have been swept up in something, you know, although my life has not been one of ease or luxury or anything like that. I am grateful that I have walked the path that I have walked, because today I can, along with my beautiful partner Nachway, in a very meaningful way, do what I can do what I do. We can do what we do. Whereas if I had gone the route that many others have gone, then I would be constrained by something else, by something that I maybe don't even believe in, just because I would have just walked in that same, what I call the wide path. But I'm not on that. And so I'm thankful for that today. And today we are really going to start to move into that phase of this show, really bringing to the forefront that spirituality and what it truly means, not just what it means in a Webster's or Oxford's or dictionary type sense, but what it means internally and also externally, and what kind of value that adds to my day-to-day life, our day-to-day life, and how it shapes the way that we interact with one another, with our friends and family, with any random person that into which we may bump on the street.
Comes into our realm.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what's spirituality for you? Give me a little something.
Okay. Well, spirituality for me is as simple as a way of life. It's not, spirituality to me is not about going to church on Sunday specifically, or it's not about, doing all the things we're supposed to do. Spirituality to me is really living for what I believe in, and living it in my work life, living it in my personal life, living it in my familial life. Kind of letting that inner love and inner belief, that I have, kind of spill out into every single aspect of my life, without having to conform or without having to kind of put my values and what I believe in to the side for something like money or for something like social status or any other external luxury, that might come along with putting your values, putting what you believe in to the side, for something else that in the end to me doesn't really matter. So
yes, spirituality is a very deep subject and a very deep conversation that really requires us to be able to step outside of ourselves and see things in a way that maybe we are not taught to see them. I feel a deep connection with Na. I feel a deep connection with my brothers and sisters. I feel a deep connection with Earth. Spirituality is about more than religion. It's about more than rhetoric. It's about more than ritual. For me, spirituality is that true connection, the understanding that we are all interconnected, that we are all bonded by that one central force. And for me, that's what God is. It can't. God, in the Old Testament, the Bible said the name of God can't even be spoken, and that's true. We have taken something that is difficult to understand, very esoteric, and in our linear way of thinking, have constructed it in such a way that just the everyman can just begin to relate. We were talking about that this morning. God is not a man in the sky. He's not a spirit being that's watching over everything. God lives in us, with us, and through us. That was the crux of what my brother Jesus was saying, a couple of thousand years ago. God is within. God is within. The essence of God is the basis of spirituality. You know, it's evolved into something a little bit else. But we are going to start to incorporate that spirituality into what we are bringing to the table now. Today, we are really going to talk about attitude. There's a saying that says your attitude determines your altitude. I don't know the origin of that. I don't know who first said it. But I've heard it several times, and it is the essence for me of spirituality. Yeah, you know, I'm reminded of the story of Job, who was a very, very wealthy man, one of the wealthiest or the wealthiest men of his time. He had land, cattle, children, wife, just money, just everything. And he was blessed. And he lost it all in one fell swoop. But it was still thankful because, you know, good or bad, you know, we are. Today, these days, I believe that we have been assimilated into a culture where we put great importance on those physical things instead of, you know, in the underlying spirit of everything. So one example I give is we thank God for so many things. We're like, thanks God for this car and this beautiful house and all these beautiful possessions. But what we then do is go through Herculean efforts to, you know, if you walk down any street, all the blinds are closed. There are bars on the windows and doors. Everything is locked up so tight as though, you know, it could just disappear. And that is really the truth of it. You know, those things, I believe, you know, everything that we have is everything that we have, is of God, and we are thankful for it. And because it is of God, we don't feel like it's necessary to hoard it. We don't feel like it's necessary to lock it up and to really take on our own responsibility of securing it, because we believe that if it was of God, we wouldn't have to do that. It wouldn't be taken from us. What is from God cannot be taken. You know, what is truly of God, of good, cannot be taken from us. And now, that's not to say someone won't break in and steal it. But if it's mine, it's not lost. Just like returning to the story of Job, it was of God. And although he misplaced it briefly, through his attitude about just the transitory nature of the things of life, all of those things were returned to him 100-fold. I don't know if the number is exactly correct, but it's just a story anyhow. That which is of God cannot be taken. So the attitude that Job had toward his possessions, which did not interfere with his relationship with the divine, allowed him to see that. So he had all these things. Thank you, God. All those things were taken from him. Thank you, God, anyway. And because of that attitude, all his things were restored and more. You know, right now we live a very simple existence. Very, very simple existence. And I believe, and I will tell anyone that will listen, God can give us the spirit that is within us, that he has deposited within each and every one of us. We can get all of these things. But you know what? Evil spirits can give that too. The devil can give us all that too. He tempted Jesus on the mountaintop after his fast. He said, hey, if you will bow down to me, I will give you all of the kingdoms of the world, because it's all his. It's all his. So he could very well give it. But, you know, it's our responsibility, our obligation as individuals and as a community to really discern what is of God. You know, what are we being given that is a distraction from the real meaning of life, the real message of life?
Absolutely.
You know, and what is our attitude toward those things?
Absolutely. And you know what you said there was very, very powerful. And and very, very true for me. And I've seen examples of that in the life that I live today. And so it is true, we do live a very simple existence, a very, we don't have many frivolous things, that we don't need. We only have what we need, and we are very, very happy with that. We know we're blessed. And we know that because we're walking the path that we walk, the Bible says, seek first the kingdom, and then everything else will be added on to you, And so that is one of the staples in the way that we choose to live our life, because we know that we do not have to subject ourselves to the simple pleasures of the world in order to have the things that our heart desires. We are able to make a discernment, to set aside, to make a discernment between what is of the world and what is of God, And when we did that, we ended up just by default giving away a bunch of our stuff that we didn't need. We ended up focusing our attentions on not how can we make more money, but how could we make the biggest impact? How can we help the most people, around us? Because those were the most important things. That ended up being the most important things to us. And so as we started to walk on that path of sharing God's love and sharing God's light, different resources and people were put in our path in order to help us accomplish our goals, And not to say that it was all easy, because it certainly was not. Even to this day, it is still not easy. But it's that attitude, touching on back to what you said, it's that attitude, that positive attitude that what helped us push through, And the thing about, not having a positive attitude is that that's where it starts. But then, if you realize, like when I realized that I have a bad attitude about something, about something that's going on, and then I continue to revel in it, to sit in it, to let it kind of just overshadow and overtake my entire day, that's when I realized that I'm stepping off the path. I hear a voice, you're stepping off the path, don't do it, keep that positive attitude, And so it's very, very important to not only, for us and for me personally, not only do I have to have good intentions, but and actions to follow the good intentions, but that positive attitude, because I could have the best intentions in the world, and I can be doing the best things, but if I'm doing it with a bad attitude, I don't feel that I will reap results from that. I will reap the bad attitude, because that is something that is sourced in the mind. It starts in the mind, and those thought frequencies are very powerful, and they have the ability to overshadow and I like to call it put shades on. When I have a bad attitude, I'm looking at the whole world with some just negative glasses, and first of all, I can't see anything clearly. And so even if good things are happening in my life, and even if I'm seeing good fruits even if good fruits are coming from my intentions and the things that I'm doing, because of those bad attitude shades I have on, I can't even see it. And so I'm unable to see my fruits, and then I would get discouraged about the path that I'm walking, because I'm like, I've been doing all this good stuff and I have all these great intentions, but I'm not seeing anything, and this sucks, and like, why did I even start doing this? And then with just that bad attitude, I end up poisoning all the blessings that are already in front of me and prepared to come my way.
Yes. The difficulty is that I really didn't understand, and I think that many of us fall into, is the answers are not necessarily easy. They say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but when you take those first few steps, those are the hardest. Those are the hardest, because we know how far we have to go. But it is not until those first steps are taken that the journey can even begin. And back to, what you said about intentions. What is our intention? Is our intention to simply react and respond to the things that happen, or is our intention to look in a more objective way at the things that happen and understand that everything happens for a reason. Every single thing happens for a reason. The path that we're going to walk, we're going to end up where we're going, regardless of what we try to do to divert ourselves from that path. The path that I was going to walk that led me here, I was going to be here. Was I going to get here in 2 years or 20 years? Depended on me. The beginning of our journey started with a decision to do faithfully and diligently what we were supposed to do. You know what? Can we put the phone number up?
Oh yeah.
We always want to we want to go ahead and just start encouraging phone calls at early on in the show, because we really do want this to be a conversation, a dialogue. If you agree with what we say, if you disagree, if you want to ask questions, if you just want to drop some input, by all means, do call in.
What's that phone?
240-390-MONKS. 240-390-MONKS. I think it's 240-390-6665.
I think so.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It starts with an intention, and the journey from where we are to where we want to go is just that. It's a journey. It is starting here and ending there, but there's a lot in the middle that is gray to many of us. In the age of instant gratification, it's sometimes difficult to accept things when we don't see immediate results, or when we don't quite get the results that we expected to get. It's easy to become discouraged. But instead of looking at that as a wall that we have hit, as the end of the path, maybe just an opportunity to readjust some things in the foundation. So, also, I want to break briefly. My daughter Misha is on her way to Texas to spend time with her mom's family for the summer. So I just want to give her a safe journey. Wish her,
safe travels,
her and Rosie,
princess.
her and her mom, they're taking that journey, and I'm glad that they're getting away. I'm glad that Rosie's getting away for a couple of weeks. Take some vacation with her family, because they are not here in the area. They're over there in Texas and in Colorado, and so I know that she doesn't get to see them very often. So, for both of you, have a great trip and a safe journey, and we'll see y'all when you get back, Misha, at the end of the summer. Yes. So, the beginning of our journey was, by no small margin, the most difficult part, because we had to really adjust our attitude about things that had happened. This relationship has not been perfect, but it has been perfect in its imperfections. We understand that where we are today, we would not have been able to reach without each and everything that has happened over the course of the relationship. I look at my life today, and I love myself, and I love how I view myself in the context of the world. I love how I am able to view myself in a good way when I reach my brothers and sisters, when I talk to them and they smile and they receive me, and they see the beautiful spirit that I have worked hard to cultivate. Myself with the very spirit essence of God that is within us. There have been a lot of things in my life that could be classified as regrettable. A lot of decisions that I've made, a lot of things that I have done. But without each and every one of those goings on, I would not be who I am today. Our life is built as a compilation of moments. Every single moment matters. And, I like to call our life, our moments, the soil out of which a plant grows. Each individual piece of a grain of soil in and of itself, by itself, is largely insignificant. It's the collection of those moments. But each moment is an opportunity. Every time we have been in a disagreement or have hurt one another, there was an opportunity for us to take the seemingly easy route, which was, man, forget this. And that obviously came up as an option. Every single time, we have been angry with one another, we had the opportunity to say, you know what, forget this. But where would we be today? By just that split second decision, spurred on by what? By the unknown and the uncertainty, and possibly by the consideration that each action is a defining thing about the other person.
Yeah. I definitely agree with everything that you said, and I do want to kind of touch on the point that, just like Michael said, not that with our relationship, not that it's always been easy, but we, made a decision, and we made a decision not only to overcome obstacles and challenges, but to have the kind of attitude and to have that kind of mind transformation that allows us to see things, in a way outside of ourselves. And so by doing that, we're able to see that, yes, things happened, in my life, in your life, in our collective life. Yes, it always hasn't been perfect, or yes, mistakes have been made, and this, that, and the third, but what's going on right now? Right now, I'm sitting here, next to my wonderful partner. I'm sitting here, and just like Michael said, he loves himself, and I love myself too. And who's to say that without every single aspect of my life, without that soil that I've cultivated, some soil I've cultivated willingly and happily, and some soil have cultivated, not in the same manner, but still each needing the other in order to make what it is today. And so now that we've set that soil or that foundation, it allows some beautiful things to grow.
That's right. But each of these things begins with, began with our intention and our attitude toward the end, toward the whole thing. Now, and when times are great, it's easy to see the value in one another. It's easy to see how beautiful she is. It's easy to see what a beautiful thing this relationship is. But in those moments of difficulty, it's easy to forget those many, many moments of beauty and really see the whole picture. With the intention and the decision and the commitment to stay together and ride it out, that's where we believe that our true blessing will come, not only for ourselves but for everyone. Our primary objective is to be a source of love and beauty and unity among everyone that we interact with. Everyone, bar none. We don't see anyone outside of ourselves. We see everyone as a part of our thing. Everyone plays a different role, obviously. No one is going to be as involved in the intimate aspects of our relationship, of the crafting of our path together, because it is together. It is give and take. It is compromise. It is sometimes doing things that we don't want to do or even agree with, because we understand that we each have a different understanding. We come from this thing from a different perspective. And anyone that has built anything, or anyone that has started their own business, that, or or anything. The most valuable things on earth come from very, very diligent hard work. It comes from trial and error. It comes from attempt and fail. It comes from push and pull, from give and concede, or give and take. When we get to, let's take a boxer for example, will train many hours, many weeks and months, sometimes even years, for one fight that even at its longest will last, all rounds added up, maybe 45 minutes. But all of that training, all of that hard work is for that thing. And so they can be prepared for that thing. But win or lose, they will continue to train. They will continue to train for the next fight. They will put all the hard work goes into the training, not and to be ready for that moment. And so all of our training makes us ready for those times of difficulty. When it comes time to make a difficult decision, or to really start mapping out the next crucial step, the next the next part of our path. We have spent a lot of time together crafting, training. The training is the most grueling part of it. Understanding that in order to be ready for the hardships, you have to spend the good times, the easy times, training no less hard. You have to spend we have to spend all of our time in training mode. Now that's not to say we are just buried in the sand. No, it is in the good times saying, hey honey, I love you and I am glad for you and I appreciate all that you do. It is recognizing those little things. Sometimes at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, let me give you a massage, let me rub your feet, things like that, things that will help strengthen us against those difficult times. Be ready, always being ready, being watchful, being mindful, that there will be trials, that there will be fights. There, not, in a theoretical sense, not even theoretical, but not in a physical sense of fight, but there will be times of trial.
Yeah.
And if we have not spent the appropriate time and effort preparing for those things, we won't be successful. If we had not prepared, we would not be where we are today. We would not even be together. Absolutely. You know what? I would be working a job that I despise and still telling myself every day, oh, I hate this job. I hate this job. But again, as I said a couple weeks ago, there's no way that I believe that is what we were meant to do here. No way.
No way. And I would be, without the journey and without the trials and errors and without the things that we've done to prepare us for this point in our lives, I would be doing the same thing. I would be working a job that I didn't believe in, and not necessarily that I didn't believe in, but just for the wrong reasons. I was before we started on this journey, I found myself doing a lot of things that were, good, or that was what I was supposed to do, but it was for the wrong reasons. And so that begged the question, well, what is my reason and what is my why? What are my intentions? And so when those things started to whittle down, I was able to clearly see, there's something bigger at play here. And there's a vision that I see that I'm not working towards. And so it was that shift, that realization that really prompted me and us to get on this path, and go.
That's right. And it was not until I and we evaluated why we're doing what we're doing that we began to understand things in a different way. Seek and ye shall find. But it doesn't begin until we start to ask ourselves those questions. Mm-hmm. We have, I don't want this to come across as vilifying or separate, separating of in any way, but as Black Americans, you and I have a different take on that. But as Black Americans, African Americans, we are almost completely assimilated into a culture that is not our own. It's not our own at all. We have lost our heritage. We have lost our parentage. We have lost our customs and traditions, and we have kind of assimilated ourselves into, or not well, I guess now it's more self-assimilation, into a culture that was not built for us. I believe that spirituality, that essence of spirituality lies deep within us, and the more we ignore it, the quieter that voice gets. And if you don't believe me, try it for yourself. Take a week and every day ask, for a spirit of understanding, a spirit of wisdom, earnestly. If you don't want it, then don't do it. But if you do want it, if the life that you are living is not quite up to the standard that you believe, if you do believe that you are working your butt off for at a job you don't believe in, for things that don't really matter to you like that, then ask and you shall receive. But that's where it begins. It begins with asking that voice allow itself to be heard, and that's where we began. We said, what is our purpose? Let's find out.
Right.
And
yeah, I mean, what is our purpose? Let's find out. And that was where we had, where the lights switched on. And it was just by simply asking the question, just like Michael said, seek and you will find. And it's just about, it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be a drawn out thing. It was just about asking the right questions and then being open to the answer. And now when I say open to the answer, that all has to do with, one of the biggest things it has to do with is the attitude. Because once you ask a question, you have to have the proper attitude in order to receive. And you have to have an open-minded attitude, that open-minded attitude that will allow you to see things that you have not seen before. And one of the quotes, I don't know where this is from, maybe it's from you, because you say it all the time. If you want something different, you have to do something different. I couldn't expect myself to keep doing the same things, but get a different result. I couldn't expect myself to keep believing in the same things I was believing in, but hear a different answer. Because the truth of the matter is, when I ask the question, like, what is my purpose? Why am I here? Like, what am I doing? It's because I don't know the answer. Really and truly, I did not know the answer. And so coming to that realization, I had to humble myself and be open to the answer to that question from anywhere, from wherever it might come, because I don't know. And that's why I'm asking. What I see a lot of times is people ask questions, or people come to me and ask questions, but then they're not ready for the answer. A lot of times I would ask a question, but I wasn't ready for the answer. I know I wasn't ready for the answer because looking back, the answer to my question was given to me, in lots of different ways, from people I know, from things that I would see, things that I would read, and things I would hear, but I just wasn't ready to listen, And so it's not only having the proper attitude, I didn't only have to have the proper attitude about life in general, but I had to have the right attitude, the right open-mindedness to be able to receive, what was for me.
That's right. And it was, the answer for me was very difficult because it pulled me even further away from the status quo. I already have not lived the cookie cut type of life that I see around me. go to school, get a degree, get a career, acquire things. You know, not to say that there's anything wrong with that. Not to say that there's anything wrong with that at all. But the answer to my question of my purpose did not lie in the pursuit of that type of lifestyle. It really required me to actually pull away completely from that life and decide to walk a path that is completely different. Even when I worked, and I've worked many jobs. I've sold cars. I've waited tables. I've worked doctors' offices and hospitals. I've done so many things in my life, and I never knew really why I was doing them beyond paying for a life. Just paying to live the type of lifestyle that I was trained to believe we should all strive to live for. Not one of spirituality, but one of accumulation and acquirement and ritual. And so the ritual of life, the ritual of church, it eluded me. I couldn't get down with it because at the center of it there didn't seem to be anything that was feeding my spirit. I grew up in Catholic church, and every Sunday, since I can remember, my dad brought me to church, and we did the same things week after week after week. And I heard some good homilies, some powerfully delivered homilies, but nothing that spoke to me in such a way that made me want to be holy or righteous or live a humble and loving existence. It was much of it just seemed contrived and ritualistic for no real reason. And that's kind of what Jesus. What's up, Quim and I Jams?
What's going on?
Oh, there's no disturbing, man. This is we love everybody. That's all right. Quim and I Jams is in the building. They're up next. So obviously, if you hear, don't change the station, man. Stay on, because there are many aspects to this life that we live. But at some point, the ritual to me just seemed tedious. Stand up, sit down, kneel, utter the same words repeatedly. But to what end? To what end? I was taught to believe in Jesus as, the Son of God, but not really encouraged to do anything beyond that. It says, if you believe in Jesus, you can be saved. But Jesus told us, man, there's a lot more to it than that. There's a lot more to it than the ritual. What does it mean if you stand up and sit and kneel and mutter in Latin week after week if you are not doing the things for the other 194 hours of the week that truly matter to yourselves and to your brothers and sisters? If you say thank you Jesus and you catch the you catch the Holy Spirit, but then you walk outside and ignore your brothers and sisters that sit out on the corner, like act like they're not even there. That's not what Jesus did. He didn't even go to church. He didn't read the Bible. You know what I mean? In that sense, what he did was walk around and go from place to place, loving and teaching and healing the spirits and the hearts and the minds of people who really, really needed it. It was much more than than what I feel that I was led to do in the Catholic Church. No shot against the Catholic Church. The church was begun as a noble thing, but as man took over it, it just became a ritual. A ritual, and again, no shot at the Catholic Church, but now we have members of the church or hierarchy that live in just absolute opulence. Not just, again, God can give you all of those things, but are we serving one another? Are we reading? If you are Christian, do you read the Bible? Or do you rely on someone else to get up on the pulpit and just tell you everything? Because they'll just tell you, there's only so much that they can tell you within the finite amount of time that they are allowed to give their homily. I know one of the things that got me also, during football season, many of the preachers got up on stage and "I'll make it short so we can get to our Redskins." Really? Okay, so I'm sorry for that jab, but it's a really honest thing. I had to honestly look at why I was going to church, and I stopped going to church because when it came to a point where I could make that decision for myself, I decided that it was more ritual than substance, and I set out on my own to find out what truly mattered, and it took a long time and a lot of hardships to get there. Yeah. But here I am at really still the beginning of a journey that is going to lead me beyond the ritual and into the meaning of what I've been doing, not just at church, but in my home, with my children, with my family, with the people on the street, with anybody that I run into anywhere. I am now in the beginning of understanding the true meaning of that thing and what Jesus meant when he said, love people, love your neighbors. Faith without works, irrelevant.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on what you said, there's nothing wrong, like in my opinion, in our opinion, there's nothing wrong with going to church,
No.
There's nothing wrong with, choosing a religion that you feel close to, but the most important thing is how you live your life, how I live my life. My life is my prayer, my life is my religion, It's not about just on one day I'm holy and that's it, It, like Michael said, it does have to be, for me and for us, it had to be more than that, I see a lot of my brothers and sisters caught up in the ritual, but it, once the ritual it has lost its meaning, then it's just that it's lost its meaning. If I can get up and say the prayers on Sunday and go to church and everything, but then as I leave and I'm a terrible, horrible person and I do things I don't believe in, I say things I don't believe in, I act in a way that is contrary to the things that I'm saying and doing at church, then it's meaningless. To me, it's almost even worse, because then I'm a hypocrite, and I didn't want to do that anymore. So, not anymore, but I didn't want to do that thing. I saw that was the thing that a lot of people were doing, and I was like, no, something's missing here. This isn't right. And so it wasn't until I asked that question, I sought, and then I found. So, yeah.
Seeking you shall find.
With the right attitude. That right attitude. Yeah.
Gotta reach it. The people that really need the word and that help don't necessarily come to church or to temple or to mosque. They're outside. The people that come to church, at least they're seeking. In some way, shape, or form, they are going to, the thing. But the majority of us, the majority of our brothers and sisters are out there, and they need to be reached. It's we're not. We can't wait for them to come to us. We got to go to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we want to thank you for tuning in.
Yes.
And for those of you who are watching this in syndication, thank you for sticking with us. We got Equimini Jams up next. Baby Huey and DJ Imperial. And following them at 1 o'clock, Eddie Kane.
Yes.
But we will be back next week. And the thing that we'll be talking about is to be announced, because we don't know. But we love y'all.
Yes, we love you guys.
Yes, just spread love. Nobody loses with a hello, with a I love you, or an apology. Yeah. I was telling my daughter that the other day, Tammy. Said if two people are in disagreement, nobody loses when someone says I'm sorry. Even if I'm dead right, we both win.
Yep.
If I apologize.
Yep.
Thanks, Max.
Thank you. All right.